Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy, Simeon Russell, coming at you with nothing but Knicks. I'm glad you're logging on with us, and I'm happy to announce that we got Macri, Jonathan Macri from the Knicks Wall. We're going to do some draft and summer league wrap-up, talk about some rumors, what's coming up next for the New York Knicks. Stay on. It should be fun. What's going on, people? I'm glad you're here. I hope your weekend went well. And we're going to have some fun tonight. We got a special guest with us, Mr. Jonathan Macri from the Knicks Wall. I'm sure you all know who it is. And we're going to bring him on right now. So say what's up to him. And let's make this a fun night. Let's go with it. Mr. Macri, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to kind of talk a little Knicks wrap up. It looks like we're pretty much done with all the big stuff until, training camp starts, but definitely a lot to talk about after what was a fun summer league.
Yeah, it was. It was a great summer league, a great draft. I think I want to go back to the draft. I guess we might as well just go back and just wrap it all up.
Yeah, sure.
This, to me, is one of the best drafts that I think we've had in a very long time. I just can't remember bringing in this much talent in one draft and getting the players that we got, in the second round. Even Trier, who was very talented. Off of who wasn't drafted. Scott Perry and Steve Mills, they definitely did their job. What do you think?
I don't know as a Knicks fan how you look at this and be anything other than very excited. You look through Knicks history, not even the last 10 or 15 years, but really kind of going all the way back to Ewing. And, there hasn't been that many top 10 picks that the organization has had, at least when you look at what their record's been and how many top picks they should have had. So it's not like there's a ton to compare Knox to in terms of just this franchise is concerned. But, you look at it at the 9th spot, and, that's been a spot that's been hit or miss over the years. Dirk got picked at 9. DeMar DeRozan got picked at 9. Obviously, Amari Stoudemire got picked at 9. We know him very well. But at that spot, you're gonna get someone who's not a perfect prospect, because if he was a perfect prospect, he would have gone earlier.
Right.
But you kind of gotta figure out, okay, are the flaws that are being talked about with whoever it is that we pick, are they correctable and are they real? And I think with Knox, going into the draft, the talk was that, he could create his own shot. He's a guy that's always going to be able to be a scorer, but can he handle the ball? Can he be, a secondary, ball handler on an offense? Does he think the game, the right way? Can he defend? And I think, based on what we saw initially, at least, in Summer League, a lot of those questions have already been answered. So, I don't know how you look at that and say, oh, man, the Knicks, didn't hit this one out of the park. And then Robinson, it was crazy to sit there watching that last, I forget if it was I think it was the second to last Summer League game. And you had Fran Fraschilla, the announcer, on the broadcast talking about, this kid could be Anthony Davis.
Right.
I heard that. I'm like, he said it a couple times too.
Yeah.
That's a bit much. That's some lofty praise. But as far as just the talent and the athleticism is concerned, if he had gone to college last year, and just did, and just kind of held his own, there's no way that he wouldn't have been at least a lottery pick.
Right.
So to get that guy with 36, if the simple question is this the best draft the Knicks have had? In my lifetime, I was born in 1983. Ewing was drafted 2 years later. So I guess since then, I think you could definitely make an argument for it
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. And I was listening to that. I was listening to Franchella at the time, and he said, just like you said, if Robinson had played at Western Kentucky, he'd probably be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good to get 2 top 10 picks if you're going to consider him a top 10 pick, 2 top 10 picks in the first round. Out of the draft without even having a second first rounder. I was reading an article. I think it was in the New York Post, I believe, and they said that Robinson was upset with his team, his agent.
He fired his agent. Raymond Brothers, who I guess is no longer his agent
right
now.
Yeah, and because they advised him to skip out on the combine, and I was wondering, when we drafted him, and honestly, that's really when he came on my radar. There were a few people that pointed me to him, and I looked at a few highlights. But of course, when we drafted him, that's really, not even gonna lie, that's really when he came on my radar. And then the questions came. Well, why didn't he play at Western Kentucky? Why did he drop out? And then why did he not go to the combine? So I guess I got my answers. He supposedly had violated some team rules or whatever at Western Kentucky before the season even started. So he decided not to go back to school, and maybe school just wasn't for him. Who knows? It's like that sometimes.
And I think this guy obviously gets into a deeper discussion about like the age limit and everything, and the fact that even Mo Bamba, who is a really, really, he's a bright kid, very so well spoken, and he even, I think, has alluded to the fact that as much as he appreciated his year at Texas, if there was no age limit ruled, he would have hopped right into the draft. And I think for a lot of these guys, a year at school is not the way to go. I mean, my understanding about Robinson is, I believe either a godfather or an uncle or some person who had a relationship to him was on the staff at Western Kentucky. He was an assistant coach when he enrolled there, and then he was, I guess, let go, or he willingly left the program. But I think after that happened, that's when Robinson decided to pull out.
But
the issue was that he had already taken classes, or at least a class. And I think it also had to do with he had signed a letter of commitment initially, so he couldn't even, transfer to a different school. It sounds like he was getting some really poor advice initially, early on.
Yeah.
And then, he made the decision to go with Raymond Brothers as his agent. And then the combine thing happened. And I think it was interesting because before the combine, he was being mocked. And again, take mock drafts with a shaker of salt. But he was being mocked in like the low teens, early 20s. And I could see a scenario where if he went to the combine and he killed it, which he probably would have. We could have been looking at a guy who could have gone maybe in the late lottery or the mid-teens. All that being said, I'm kind of surprised that he fell as far as he did, because it doesn't seem like there are any character concerns with him. He seems like a hard worker. A lot of, the knock on a lot of guys is like low motor. You hear that all the time. He has a low motor. Does he really want to play basketball? This kid's motor is the last thing anybody should be worried.
Exactly.
He was flying around the court. And he seems like a good kid. Fizz says he's a high character guy. So all of the usual concerns you get that will drop a guy to that point are not there with him. It was just really the mystery factor, and the fact that he dropped to 36. I think a lot of teams are going to be kicking themselves if they're not already.
Right. Yeah, and teams, I guess teams are just so careful nowadays about guys and their character, and they don't want with the NBA being such a money sport, they don't want their brands or whatever to be tarnished. And I get it, I understand it. But I'm glad that Scott Perry and them guys did their homework and really figured out that this guy doesn't have any character problems.
Yeah.
And it was really bad advice. Now I wonder, I don't know what the timeline is for the G League, but why didn't he go into the G League if he didn't go
I
playing college?
Again, my understanding is that was something that I guess he had considered, but because he took the one class, or he enrolled in the one class he enrolled in at Western Kentucky, that essentially barred him from going to the G League.
Oh.
So it was, I think it was almost just a confluence of events that kind of like everything that could go wrong for the kid did go wrong. And, he was left working out for a year. The only question that I haven't had answered, and I don't know that there is an answer, is why he didn't consider playing overseas. My assumption would be that maybe he just didn't want to, go move to another country for 9 months, which is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, look, it worked out well for the Knicks. I guess the only thing that I found interesting was Ian Begley, who's obviously does great work for ESPN, went on one of the ESPN radio programs the other day and talked about how Scott Perry had it was, I guess, partially due to his relationship to Robinson's ex-agent now, Raymond Brothers, that maybe not put Robinson on the Knicks' radar, because I'm sure he would have been on their radar anyway, but maybe gave them a little insight or a little bit more access into him as a kid, as a person. And it's interesting now that he's no longer his agent, but it doesn't seem like it had any ill effects on his relationship to the team, because he signed his contract. He'll be with us for 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Which, great deal, by the way, to get a kid with this talent on essentially team control for 4 years. I thought that was pretty outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what do you think? What's your opinion with the whole one and done thing and kids not being able to play in the NBA out of high school? I mean, I guess I understood back then. I understood the reasoning behind it, but I also felt like, hey, if you have the ability, play. Maybe, for kids who think that they have, I guess they wanted to, the kids that think that they have the ability to, but maybe really do not have the ability to play in the NBA out of high school. Maybe they were trying to protect them, but there are ways like the G League and things to work with those kids as well. What's your opinion? What's your take on it?
I mean, I think if you want to really talk about it from like a legal perspective, I don't think it's, I mean, I know there's been some cases on this, but I don't think it's quite frankly legal to or it shouldn't be legal to tell an 18-year-old kid that you're not allowed to go and earn a living. And obviously the NBA is a private enterprise, and to a certain extent they could do what they want with that. But I mean, even putting that aside, I think it's silly to restrict kids who are clearly able to come into the league and perform and produce. And you mentioned the G League. At the time that the NBA instituted the age limit, it was still the D League, and it was nothing like it is today.
Right.
And today, I mean, really, this is now, I mean, I think 27 out of the 30 teams have their own G League team, and pretty soon it'll be 30. So really now the NBA truly does have a minor league system, akin to baseball, where they can put a kid, for a half a year or the full year. Like, look at Mitchell Robinson. I would not be surprised if Mitchell Robinson started the year in the G League and maybe spent some significant time there. I think they should get rid of the age limit. I think it's silly. And the idea that they are somehow protecting kids from themselves, I'm quite frankly, I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
the idea that, okay, a kid who was going to come out and make a horrible life decision by coming out and entering the draft is somehow going to be saved from himself by being forced to spend a year in college. I mean, come on. I don't. There are, if a kid is talented enough to come out and enter the draft as a high schooler, even if he makes an incredibly bad decision and, God forbid, doesn't get drafted at all or is only drafted in the second round, that person's going to be talented enough to always make a living playing basketball,
Exactly.
whether it's overseas or even in the G League here. So I think they should get rid of it. And I think it's, it seems like it's going to happen within the next 2 to 3 years.
Next CBA, maybe. Yeah. And I think, I mean, I agree with you. I think they should get rid of it. It, be done, and let the kids make their decisions and see where it goes from there. And not to mention guys that there are kids out there that could really use those scholarships.
Absolutely.
To go to school, guys that will be there for 4 years, that can really use the scholarship. So I think it would work out for everyone,
And you look at just the reality of the situation. I think there was some initial talk that, we need to do this because college basketball is suffering because the best players aren't going to college anymore. I mean, come on. I mean, it's look at the top of the draft. I mean, you had 2 guys go to Kentucky, come out in the lottery. 2 guys went to Duke, came out of the lottery. DeAndre Ayton went to Arizona. I mean, these programs, the Arizonas, the Dukes, the Kentuckys of the world, they're going to be fine. I mean, they're not. Yeah. No one's not going to watch any of those schools. I mean, it's been a while since North Carolina has produced a top of the draft type prospect or like a Gonzaga, and they're incredibly popular. They're a top tournament seed every year. I mean, everything will be fine. Let's just make the decision that makes the most sense for everybody involved and let the kids enter the draft after high school.
Yeah. So you're speaking of Kentucky.
Yes.
Kevin Knox.
Yeah.
We got Kevin Knox. I'm telling you, I am elated with Kevin Knox.
As you should be, I think.
I mean, geez, I see what the guy can do. I mean, he can initiate the break. He can shoot it from the outside. He can go to the basket. He can post up. I mean, the sky is the limit for this kid. I think. I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait to see him actually suit up and play against NBA players.
Yeah.
Of course, that's going to say a lot. He's playing against some elite guys, but even when you're playing in the summer league, it's still the best of the best that's there. You got guys that's been in the league maybe a year or two. You got the best guys that's been drafted out of college that's there. So you're still playing against really, really tough competition. I don't know. What do you expect from him coming into the league?
I mean, if we're talking about just this year, I think, it's tough because we're coming off of a year in which Jason Tatum went from, one of the premier programs in the country. He went to Duke, came out. Obviously, he was picked quite a bit higher than Knox. He was taken 3rd. If the reports are to be believed, the Celtics would have taken him first if they had not had that trade down scenario come up. And that's the comparison that's being tossed around. Is Kevin Knox going to come in and be what Jason Tatum was? No, I don't think he is, because Jason Tatum, you looked at, I think for half the season, he was the leading 3-point shooter in the league percentage-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jason Tatum had the ability to kind of come into a ready-made team that had some amazing pieces around him and be the 3rd or 4th or 5th offensive option, get a lot of wide open threes, didn't have to do a whole lot with the ball, at least, until the playoffs came around when some more was put on his shoulders. And he got a chance to learn and grow at his own rate. Kevin Knox next year is not going to have that luxury because the Knicks of 2018-19 are going to be quite a bit worse than the Celtics of last year. he also is going to be asked to probably do more to get his points. And if it's one thing that Jason Tatum had coming into the league, it was excellent footwork. He had the footwork of a 5 or 10 year pro as a rookie. Kevin Knox isn't quite there. I think what we saw in Summer League that has everybody excited and should have everybody excited is Kevin Knox's ability to work as a ball handler. He's not gonna go out there and run your team for you, but as a secondary guy and who could really do some really interesting things on the pick and roll. Right. I think that's what really we didn't see a lot of at Kentucky, and we saw in Summer League, and that's for me more than anything what has people kind of changing their opinions on him and saying, "Oh my God, he could really be something special." But is he going to come out and be an efficient scorer from the get-go? No. Do I think he can start for them? Yes. I think he can start. I think he will start. We've constantly heard Coach Fizdale talk about letting guys learn on the job, or I don't know what phrasing he uses exactly, but this idea, basically the anti-Jeff Hornacek, right? Right. It's not going to be a situation where a guy gets a turnover or a guy misses a shot and he's looking over the sidelines worrying about when he's going to get pulled from the game. Fizdale's not going to do that. Fizdale's going to let these kids play. I think he's going to put Knox out there and let him go through his lumps. If I had to guess, like put numbers on it, I would say he'll probably be a subpar shooter his first year, maybe around 40%. But I agree. I could see him putting up, 15 points a game. That would not shock me because I think, again, on this team this year, they are not going to have a ton of places to go to for offense. So I think it'll be a good opportunity for him to learn on the fly.
Yeah. Now, Tim Hardaway would probably be our leading scorer.
Oh, I think, absolutely. I'm 100% in agreement with that.
Yeah. So what's your takes on Tim Hardaway? My biggest take, don't mean to cut you off.
No, please. I want to hear it.
Yeah, people think that I hate Tim Hardaway here in the chat. I do not hate Tim Hardaway. I just want him to be consistent and efficient. I feel like his shot selection really kills his efficiency. Now, I seen there were some times last year where he did play efficient. There were some stretches where he played really efficient. He went to the basket. But then there were some times and stretches where he was just so inefficient, shooting low percentage or just a bad shot selection, which brings his field goal percentage down. I think, I don't know. I feel like he's a low IQ player. I don't know what he does to try to bring his IQ up. I'm hoping that Fizdale can and the team can work with him on better shot selections. And I give him this. Last year was his first year with the increased responsibility. He's always been kind of your third option or off the bench. So that there's a learning curve. There's a big learning curve there, right? To have that much responsibility. And he was kind of playing out of position, playing at that 3 spot. So he's defending a lot of bigger guys, longer guys, maybe having those guys defending him as well. So I'm interested to see how it can look this year.
Tim's a fascinating player. And a couple of the points that you just brought up, I think there is an argument to be made for Tim for some of the reasons you talked about. I think the out of position thing I don't give too much credit for, because to me, Hardaway is always going to be a guy that you are going to slot on the weakest offensive player on the opposing team.
Good point.
Whether that person is a 2, a 3, or a 4, I don't think it matters, because Tim is he's never shown the ability to be anything more than an average defender, and that's at best. And there are times where he, he's quite a bit below that. I think you could point to the fact that he was a first option a lot last year, whereas he should really never be more than probably a third option. He was injured, for a lot of the year. So I think, if you're a Tim Hardaway apologist, which I am certainly not, there are some things that you could point to. But I was doing a little research, before I came on here, and I wanted to kind of make sure I was straight on what he was and what he wasn't. A lot of people point to last year and they say, "Oh, before he got hurt, um, he was doing really well." Well, if you go back and you look at the numbers, take out the first 4 games where he couldn't throw a ball into the Atlantic Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
From that point until when he went out with that injury, it was a sample size of, I think, about 17 games. He shot 33 or 34% from downtown.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, it's not as if he was lighting it up when he was healthy and when the team was playing well, when they were in that stretch where they were playing all those home games. If you go and look at NBA statistics from last season, I mean, he averaged over 7 3-point attempts a game. If you go down the list and you look at every high volume 3-point shooter in the league last year,
Mm-hmm.
he's down there for his year-long 3-point percentage at 31%. The next lowest guy on, in terms of like the top 30, volume shooters is at like 34, 35%. And then we're talking about like Damian Lillard, right? Okay. Damian Lillard last year was, I think, at 34.5% for 3-point shooting. But Dame Lillard does so much other stuff for your team, and he is a magnet that draws defenses to him and bends everything that you do as a defense. Tim Hardaway Jr. is not that.
Right.
And he still shot only 31%. So to me, will he get better? Yes. I don't think he could get much worse. Can he drive the ball? Yes. He I think, other than Moutier, he led them in drives per game last year. He could be a pick and roll ball handler, but again, if you look at his statistics as a pick and roll ball handler, they're not great. So I think, it's really going to take a lot of work for him to become a guy who, a neutral team, putting the Knicks aside because kind of everybody might value their own guys higher, a neutral team to look at him as an asset. And I don't know that. And I know people hate when you bring up the contract because they're like, "Oh, forget the contract. It's a done deal." Well, no, you can't forget about the contract because, a guy who does what Tim does at $10 million a year is very different from a guy who does what Tim does at $18 million a year.
Exactly.
Like Lou Williams. Lou Williams is essentially a slightly better scorer, maybe a slightly worse defender than Tim Hardaway. He's making $8 million a year. Maybe the best comp I saw from this summer is the Will Barton deal. Will Barton got 4 years, $13.5 million a year from Denver. Will Barton is a year older than Tim Hardaway Jr., probably a similar defender, better offensive player.
Mm-hmm.
He's making almost $5 million less a year.
Yeah.
All right. And that contract not exactly a great contract. So, I really want to be high on Tim. I do. I'm hopeful that he'll improve his game this year. But
it's hard. It's hard. I wasn't excited when he came back because before Phil was even here, I was just never really a fan of his game. But when he came back, I was like, okay, well, let's see what he can do. Let's see what it is. I was just never really a fan of his game. We'll see what happens under Fizz. Maybe Fizz can, do something with him. We'll see. Did you see anything from Frank over the summer league that you like?
I mean, I'm so as low as I am on Tim is as high as I am on Frank. I mean, my thing with Frank has always been that I think we've gotten so used to the point guard position in the NBA. People look at it as it needs to be a guy who can do the things that Russell Westbrook or John Wall or, James Harden or Steph Curry can do. And if you're not one of those guys, you're useless. Well, I think Frank, he's not one of those guys. He's never going to be one of those guys. But I think what you saw from him, especially in the second game of the Summer League, is that, listen, if he can be a guy who, if you're going to stick an opposing point guard on him to play defense on him, he's going to be able to figure out ways to take advantage of that matchup, which was very encouraging. And I think, everybody wanted him to come out and be guns blazing and firing away, taking 20 shots a game. That's not Frank. That's not his mentality. That's not why he was drafted where he was drafted. That's never going to be him.
Right.
But I think that's part of his appeal to me, and that's not a knock, because God knows there's enough guys in the NBA nowadays who want to get theirs. Kevin Knox, I mean, I love him, but he's going to be a guy who wants to get his shots, right?
He is.
Porzingis, I mean, we saw that last year. He was a little bit of a black hole on offense. I mean, it is what it is. So you need guys who are okay being distributors. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with Frank having that mentality. Does he need to be able to get into the lane a little bit more consistently to draw defenses in and be able to make kick-out passes and things of that nature? Yes. And I think we saw a little bit of that. We need to see a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But I'm very high on Frank. I think he is, the positionless basketball gets tossed around. It's a buzzword. But I think people forget what it really means. And I think what it really means is just to be able to put as many guys on the basketball floor as can do many different things.
Exactly.
And there's very little that Frank can't do on a basketball court. And I think, as they continue to build this team, he's going to become really, really valuable, and being able to be a guy that you could put in, you could surround him with any other four guys, and he will figure out a way to thrive and succeed.
Yeah. And, I read and see so many people, especially here in the chat, that really, really go on Frank really hard because he's not that Kyrie Irving or Damian Lillard type of guard.
And I get that.
Yeah. And, to me, I don't think, every point guard in the league doesn't need to be that way. There's still room for the Rajon Rondos and guys like that want to distribute, that want to get other people involved, can play defense. And look, if we're going to play this positionless basketball, you need a guy like Frank that can switch off on a 1 or 2 or 3 on the defensive end of the floor.
I mean, right? the defense is – I'm not even going to talk about the defense, because I think that speaks for itself at this point. But I think what people need to realize is, the Kyrie Irvings and the Steph Currys of the world, and even to a lesser extent, a guy like Kemba Walker, obviously guys like James Harden and Chris Paul. The reason he's valuable is not just because they can handle the ball and get into the lane, but they're just as effective off ball as well. So if you're looking at building this team moving forward, I mean, obviously the Kyrie stuff is out there. There are those guys, you could get those guys, and they will be able to play with Frank because they don't need the ball in their hands to be successful, and they don't need the ball in their hands to be able to help your team. So if you could have a guy like Frank, who at 6'6", verging on 6'7", can handle the ball, which he's shown the ability to do. And the key for him is really going to come down to, can he make an open three? Yeah. If you can get Frank to the position where he could become a 38, 39, 40% three-point shooter, and I know we're not there yet. If he could get to that point, you could play him with any guard in the league, and you're going to be fine. And I think it's going to be a really positive relationship. It's a subtle difference, but like a lot of people, not to go back before the draft, but people who wanted the Knicks to draft like Colin Sexton. I didn't want that because, to me, Colin Sexton, he's a guy that needs to have the ball in his hands to be successful. That's not a guy who's going to work well with Frank Ntilikina. Frank Ntilikina needs to be able to play with a guard who can play off ball and on ball. Yeah. So as they look, again, to add those extra pieces as we go forward, that's partially why I'm high on Frank, because of his versatility to play with different guys who might come here down the line.
Yeah. And, I agree with you 100%. We've been talking a little bit, so I'm going to open it up and take a couple of calls. All right.
Sounds good.
You want to call in 516-405-2247. And it looks like we already have somebody on the line. Who am I speaking with? Who we got on the line here? Hello, can you hear me? I guess they're not ready. All right, I guess we'll get on to someone else. Somebody else will call in. But yeah, you know what I did, something that I did find interesting, and somebody from the chat or from Twitter spoke to me, and they said, you know, they like to see Frank post up. You know, and you know we've seen him post up a couple of times. Yeah, we've seen him post up a couple of times, and I'm encouraged by that because, you know, with his passing ability, if he can post up, I think we'll see that Frank can, you know, we'll be able to make some plays out of that post. You know?
Yeah, and I think a good model for him is, and I'm not comparing him to this player by no means, but James Harden, for all of the stuff he does with the step back threes and driving the lane and drawing fouls, they really started to use him this year, Mike D'Antoni, as kind of a playmaking post up guy because of his size. You know, Frank Ntilikina, again, this is a guy that there are not many guys in the league that are going to, I'm telling you, he's going to be 6'7" before he's done growing, who you can get that kind of size advantage with on the typical guy that's going to be guarding him and have that kind of handle. So yeah, I think absolutely Frank out of the post is going to be a weapon for them moving forward.
Yeah. All right. Let me see. We got a caller back on. I think it's the same person. Let's see if they pick up this time. Caller, can you hear me?
Yeah, it was good.
What's going on, man? You called last time, and I don't know, maybe you missed me, you hung up or whatever it is. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good. So I'm trying to get on your show for a minute, man.
Yeah, well, we here now, so speak to me a little bit. What's your take on the draft in summer league so far? I'm putting 5 minutes on the clock, and give me your take.
Good.
What'd you say?
I said the draft was real good. I like what we picked with Knox. I think Mitch Robinson, you know, was nice still. He's gonna help us out. I like what Kyrie and all of them is doing. I think right now we're on the right path. We're doing real good. Got a nice little young team there. And I'm glad that we didn't pick Michael Porter.
Yeah, I'm with you. Listen, I was there at the draft.
Yeah, I know. I seen you.
Yeah, I was at the draft, and of course, everybody, you know, there were a lot of people chanting Michael Porter, but I don't really think it had anything to do with Kevin Knox. I think it just had a lot, you know, it really had a lot to do with casual fans who weren't really aware of everything with Michael Porter Jr., who hadn't really scouted out everyone. There were some very knowledgeable fans there, though. I interviewed some people after the draft, and you know, there were a couple people who said, you know, I wasn't really aware about his back injuries or whatever it is. But, you know, there was a big chant, and, you know, when Kevin Knox got picked, there were a lot of people that were surprised. I was surprised. I'm not going to lie. Although, you know, I did want Kevin Knox. If we didn't move up to get Mo Bamba, I wanted Kevin Knox. You know what I mean? So I was happy. I was really happy with the pick. So what did you see?
Sure.
Oh, and what's your name? What's your name again?
Big Ice.
Big Ice.
Yeah.
All right, Big Ice. So what was your take on Summer League?
The Summer League was nice. You know, Knox did great. You know, I'm with you on, you know, what you were saying about Frank don't have to be a scorer. You know, I like that. Like the thing you talk about, we need more point guards like Rondo. Like I feel like if Knox can average like, let's say like 17 points, 9 assists, and like 7 rebounds with the scores we got with Knox and KP in them, and his defense is great, I think that'd be a great move for us. You know,
what would be a great move with us? Who?
Frank, like, you know, everybody wants Frank to be a scorer, like you said. Like, and like you said, he don't need to be a scorer because his defense is nice. But if he could be a consistent, like just scoring like maybe like 17 points, like 15 to 17 points, but giving out like at least 9 assists a game out of a point guard, I think that'd be great for us.
Okay, and you know what? I don't even know if we need 15 to 17 from Frank. I feel like if you're getting 10 to 12, that's going to keep defenses honest. And if he's able to give out 8-9 assists, you know, and then more than even just the assist, because you know some assists can be a hollow assist. You know, there's some players in the league I think just get hollow assists. You know, they just drive to the basket and dish it off to the big man that's there. But you know, I think Frank is the kind of guy that'll be able to actually execute an offense, and his assists can come from actually executing an offense. I think in the future, of course, not right now. You know, he's still very young, but in the future, I think Frank.
He's only 19.
Right, and you know, I think Frank can be the kind of guard that is a very strong-headed leader, like a Chauncey Billups type of guy. And I feel like those guys win you championships. You got to have one of those guys on your team to win a championship. I feel, you know, and I think he can be one of those guys.
No, he definitely can be one of them. Now look, let me ask you this. Let's say, right, this year, let's say we come out, because I've been like a Knicks fan since 71. I'm 56.
Okay.
Right? Let's say we end the season with like 40 wins, like KP don't play with us, or he played like a little bit, and we get back in that top 10 for a lottery pick, right? And everything what you said works out with Frank being like, you know, 15 points, like, you know, his assist is good. Knox come out in a year with averaging like 18. Mitchell's like a double-double, 12 and 10. Stanton's do good. Now, coming to next season, and we in that top 10, and, you know, they got some nice – I like the guys from Duke that's coming out. A kid, Cam, I think his name is Cam Radish or something like that. He's like 6'7".
Not sure.
He could play like the 1 or the 2. If the Knicks was to get like another good person, like a young person, do you think we would need Kyrie?
I guess to me, would we need Kyrie if we're able to get another good person out of the draft next year?
Because what we got, not to cut you off, with Mario too, if he brings his game up and does good, I mean, you know, we might look pretty good instead of, you know, Frank might be able to handle that point spot.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it's this. I think, you know, I think this season they're going to see what they have and then start to make a judgment on what they think a guy's future is, right? And then they're going to have to determine how fast do they want to be a playoff contender. Right? Do they feel like they have enough time to wait around and let these guys develop a little bit, or do they want to try to make some moves and jump right in it? It's hard to say without knowing how these guys are going to develop. So we've got to watch this season. I think, see how these guys develop, and then you know start to make some decisions after that.
This season is going to be big, but they like so young. But in a way, they got some nice potential. Like, I like that pickup with Mario. You know, he's 6'8". Like, they can probably even run it. Like, I was looking at it, and I've been meaning to ask you about this for so long. I was trying to get on your show. And I was thinking about, like, maybe if KB or Camper come back, you know, KP might need him at the 4, put Cantor or Robinson at the 5, and maybe even put Mario at the 3 and let Knox and Frank be in the backcourt.
I mean, you know, we'll see. Call him Big Ice. I'm gonna let you rock out of here, and then you know we'll talk about what we'll talk about your lineup and some things. All right.
All right, then.
All right.
Thank you for
appreciate the call, man.
Here, man.
Definitely appreciate the
call.
No
problem.
Yeah.
All right, peace.
Yeah. So what's your take on that? You know, as far as the free agents for next year. So I guess we can kind of push this right into the next topic: trades, rumors, free agency, and things. What's your take on what we're looking at for next year?
To me, I think it's pretty simple. They, the murmur has been out there that they're going to make a legitimate play for Durant if he decides to even take meetings, which is to say that, he obviously signed the 1+1. He may want to stay in Golden State for 2 more years. Nobody knows that at this point. nobody would blame him if he wanted to play one year in their new arena, which is going to be open for the 2019-20 season.
Mm-hmm.
But my thinking is this with the Knicks front office. I think they are smart enough to know that they need to get another big fish here. And I think they believe that Porzingis is one such guy. I'm personally of the same belief. I know there's a lot of haters out there for KP, still think he's soft. That they're doubtful that he's going to be the same guy post-injury. I mean, I look at the fact that he was doing things at his size last year that nobody in the history of basketball has ever done. And it's to be able to have that guy as almost like a human. You want to talk about a human cheat code? I mean, that's your human cheat code right there. So I think they have one guy. I think they are looking to basically not put themselves out of position to take a meeting with Durant when he becomes a free agent. So if he becomes a free agent next summer, I think they will have him be their primary target. And if he decides to play out an additional year with Golden State, I think they will make sure that they put themselves in a position to have max cap space for the summer of 2020. I think when you hear them kind of hedge a little bit, if you've listened carefully to Perry and Mills, they've kind of hedged on this like 2019 or bust thing. They keep throwing out, it doesn't have to be 2019. It could be 2020. I think the reason they're doing that is not only Durant, but also 2020 is when Anthony Davis is
right.
Well,
right.
Now I know the caller brought up Kyrie. I'm a huge fan of Kyrie. To me, if you have an opportunity to add Kyrie Irving to your team, you do it. I mean, he's a guy that is he one of the 10 best players in the league, 15 best players in the league. To me, that's not as important a question as, if you want to win a championship, you got to have like one of 10 or 12 guys that, with the game on the line at the end of a game 7 or something on the road, he could take you home. And Kyrie Irving, to me, is one of those guys. And again, because of his ability to shoot, because of his ability to handle the ball, I think he's going to be able to play in pretty much any lineup. Defensively, obviously, it's going to be an issue, but the way the NBA works today, it's very rare that you're not going to have somebody on the floor that opposing teams are going to try to target, and you just got to try to game plan around that. I mean, the Warriors have game planned around the Cavs targeting Steph Curry for the last, the last 4 years.
Yeah.
It's not like it can't be done. In a perfect world, would you like to have a team where 5 guys are perfect on offense and 5 guys are perfect on defense? Yeah, that'd be great. But we don't live in that reality. So if Kyrie wants to come here, I think you sign him up. I don't. Again, these players, they all have relationships, and we've seen an NBA develop over the last 8 years where guys who want to play together are going to figure out a way to play together. And KD and Kyrie, we know they're friends. We know obviously Kyrie and Jimmy Butler are friends. And there's the report that came out a few weeks ago that maybe they want to end up on the same team. So this stuff is all in play, and for the Knicks, you just want to be able to have as many seats available at the dinner table as possible.
Exactly.
Which is why there's a lot of talk about if you have an opportunity to, and it goes back to Timmy, if you have the opportunity to just get rid of Timmy's contract and dump it on the Kings or somebody else who wants to take it on, do you do that?
And I would do it. I would do it.
It's tough to say no, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough to say no when that, it's almost $20 million again.
Yeah.
That opens up a space. It's not a whole max space, but
But it opens up. Yeah, it gets you closer. And look,
right?
I'm one of those guys that is still in wait and see mode with KP.
Okay.
You know, I love everything that he does. Like what you said, you know, the things that he can do at 7'3" is almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I think that he's going to be an all-star for years.
Yeah.
Is he that guy that like that number one guy? If that's the, I mean, I don't even know if you're playing positionless the way we want to play. Do you have that? I mean, I guess you do. You always got to have the one guy, like you said, at least one or two guys that can just go get it for you. I'm just not sure yet with him. I'm in wait and see mode. I want to see, does he get stronger? You know, how everything is developed with him. I think he has all the tools, but you know, I'm in wait and see mode with him. And
I think you need to see. I think the two things you want to see from KP from a developmental standpoint are, again, can he bulk up enough that if you're playing him, because you know, when it comes down to the playoffs, I think realistically you're going to be looking at 20, 25 minutes a night where he's playing at the 5. So, you know, he's going to, but again, this is an NBA now where people talk about, oh, he's not going to be able to bang down low with these guys. Well, guess what? The guys, the bangers from yesteryear,
he doesn't have to, right?
They don't exist anymore. You know, you know, DeAndre Ayton can't, you know, if there was ever going to be a guy who was going to come into the league and be that dude, it was going to be Ayton. And what did Ayton want to do last year? Ayton wanted to play the 4 at Arizona because that's the way things are going. Those guys who live on the block, they don't exist anymore. So, you know, it's a concern, but it's not a huge concern for me. To me, the bigger concern is, can he get to a point where he could at least be, you know, Clint Capella in terms of defending in space? Because, you know, and I don't like to jump like right to the playoffs because you got to get through 82 games before you ever get there. But, you know, we just saw a playoffs where the top 2 finishers in Defensive Player of the Year this year, right, were Rudy Gobert and Joel Embiid, right? And the Celtics were targeting Joel Embiid on defense repeatedly, with Al Horford being just too quick for Joel. And he's a guy who's the best. He's one of the best defensive big men in the league. You look at the other side of the other conference, the Western Conference, Houston. You know, Utah was dropping back Rudy Gobert, you know, under the pick and roll, and Houston was just killing it every time. So the days of being able to have a big man who can't, you know, hang a little bit on these, you know, with what teams do now on offense, I think are done. So KP, that's where I really want to see the development from him. You know, being able to have a little bit more lateral quickness, a little bit more versatility on the defensive end. That's the only part for him that I'm not worried, but you know, I want to see.
You want to see that, and listen, I can't wait to see this Mitchell Robinson and KP block party when it happens. Now, let me take a call.
Mitchell Robinson, he showed you in Summer League. That's the part for me that I was most excited about.
Yeah,
when he got you know, switched on to a smaller player. I mean, he was getting a little jump happy trying to get those swat everything into the third row, which I love. That was great. But he also held his own on switches. That's a guy who, again, in the modern league, you know, having a guy that big and that agile, you know, to be able to guard pretty much anyone on a switch, that's hugely impactful and versatile.
It is, yeah. Let me get this caller. Let's see what we got. Caller, who am I speaking with?
Hey, what's up, Simeon? This is Reggie from Brooklyn.
Reggie, what's going on, man? How you feeling? Brooklyn's in the house, without a doubt.
What's up, Brooklyn?
Yeah, what's going on? I heard a crazy, I forgot what site I saw it on. I'm like, if this was the old Knicks management, they probably would do this nonsense. I heard them talking about trading Noah to Timberwolves for Butler. You know, Kyrie and Butler probably want to play together. But they want to throw in Knox and 2 second-round draft picks to make that deal.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
don't know. I don't know what that was on, but yeah, they're definitely crazy.
I'm like, are they what? Now the old Knicks probably would have saw that and Butler, Kyrie get them together and probably try to do that.
Yeah.
Like, are they crazy?
Yeah,
You don't get
that
a
would definitely
young-
be crazy. I would be highly disappointed with this regime if they did that. I don't know if you heard Jonathan, but what he said.
You giving up the young buck for Butler?
Right. Jonathan, I don't know if you heard, but he said he was reading on some website somewhere that the Knicks should trade should trade Joakim Noah and Kevin Knox for Jimmy Butler and something else. So I don't know which website that is. Let me tell you, you should immediately ban that website from ever coming across your from ever coming across your computer again. Block it. Get it out of there.
I'll just chime in really quick. This idea that the Knicks are going to give up an asset to deal.
Oh, one second. Hey, caller. Give me 1 second. Jonathan, John is gonna respond to that real quick.
No, just real quick. I mean, I think this front office has been pretty clear. They're not going to package an asset to get rid of Noah. If anything, you're going to see Noah, waived and then stretched after September 1st, which I'm actually hoping that they hold off on that because there's no need to do that right away. In my opinion, the only reason they do that is if they thought he was going to be a real negative presence in the locker room with what they're trying to build as far as a culture. The people who say, well, just go send him away and have him sit on the end of the bench. The NBA Players Association was not really thrilled with that when it happened last year when they sent him away, and I don't think they would let that go so easily this time around. So I just wanted to chime in on that point.
Yeah, agree with you. Go ahead. I forgot your name, but caller from Brooklyn.
I just want to throw that at y'all. Let y'all see what I heard on that site when we talking about trades and stuff. All right, now that was a crazy one. I wouldn't touch that.
Yeah, that's a crazy one. I wouldn't touch it either. I mean, I'm not making any kind of trade. First of all, I mean, any kind of trade that I make right now for this year, if there was going to be any moves, any trades that's going to be made this summer, if it were me, I'm not touching anything that messes with our future. I do some little I'm not going to say they don't have consequences, but I do some smaller trades maybe that set you up for free agency later on, or if you could do something with Courtney Lee. Although I like Courtney Lee, but if I could do something with Courtney Lee, Lance Thomas, something like that. I'm not touching Frank or KP or Kevin Knox or Mitchell Robinson. Those guys that, you don't even know what they can do. So I'm definitely not touching them. Not even if, one of these big fish like Kawhi Leonard or something comes into it. I think, because then what happens if let's just say we went crazy, Scott Perry went crazy and traded Kevin Knox for Kawhi Leonard. Then Kawhi Leonard decides to decides he's not signing any kind of an extension and moves on the next year. Then you gave up, a young stud.
I hear you.
Yeah, I'm not touching anything.
I don't trust Kawhi Leonard. He's too wishy-washy. Like, he don't want to go to the Lakers. Now that LeBron said he want to go to the Clippers, I wouldn't touch Kawhi Leonard with a 10-foot right now.
I think right now the Knicks need to be in a mode where we just want to look at what our young guys can do, put them together, fit them together on the floor as best we can, throw them out there, and let the pieces fall where they may. And really start looking at them and then of course developing them. Fizdale's supposed to be a developmental guy. He's supposed to be able to develop players. I want to see what he can do with our guys.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I want to say one more thing before I get off here.
Okay.
I think Robinson, the only thing I see they won't keep Robinson up here most of the season if he can't stay on the court because of foul trouble. If he's always getting in foul trouble and fouling out, I see them send him down to the G League to learn how to play ball without getting in foul trouble. Yeah. Other than that, I see him as a backup center with Hornets after Cantor all year long.
Okay.
The only thing that can knock him down is foul trouble if he can't stay on the court.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
All right. You know what? I think that's a pretty good take. Hey, caller, thank you for the call, man. And I'm hope you call back soon.
Will do, brother. I like the new system. A lot of times I be on the hold, the answer machine. I never could get through, but this one actually I got through, so it's all good. I'll be calling back.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, he said
right.
he said one of his concerns with Mitchell Robinson is that he'll get into a lot of foul trouble this year. I can see that happening. Just because he's a little bit, he's thin right now. He's got to, build his upper body strength and lower body strength. I could see him getting into some foul trouble. Maybe, and we'll see. And maybe his length prevents it. But I could see him possibly getting in foul trouble. But I see him playing a lot of time in the G League as well. We got another caller.
I agree.
Yeah, got another caller. Caller. Who am I speaking with?
Ryan from the Bronx.
Ryan from the Bronx. Boogie down. What's popping with you, man?
What's going on, man?
So what's your take on right now we're talking about New York Knicks trades, rumors, things like that. Talking about, Jimmy Butler, Kyrie Irving. Where are you at with it?
Well, here's the thing. I think we need to be a little bit more patient with this group. It's a young group.
Right.
Actually, and Kyrie and Jimmy kind of scare me, honestly, because I think they're a little injury prone. I mean, obviously they're talented and all that, but I'm a little scared about, investing a lot of money in those two players. I wouldn't be upset if, let's say, we picked up, a Chris Middleton or even a Klay Thompson, things like that. Guys that have proven, except for Chris Middleton, he was hurt, I think last year, the year before. But, I would rather prefer those two guys, over Jimmy Butler and Kyrie,
Mm-hmm. I think, I don't know. I think, going into next season, going into next off season, I don't know. I think right now, me mentally, I'm really kind of I'm focused on, I know we have it up here, but I'm really focused on finishing out this summer. What could happen this summer. I want to talk about, coming up in a little bit, what we can do with Courtney Lee, how we can turn that into some assets for ourselves. And then really focus on training camp and getting these guys in. There's going to be a lot of talk all year long about Jimmy Butler, Kyrie Irving, and my problem with that is, we're dealing with young guys, and that might affect them a little bit. Some of these guys, they haven't had to deal with that. Kevin Knox hasn't had to deal with that kind of stuff. Mitchell Robinson hasn't had to deal with that kind of stuff. Frank Ntilikina, he had some NBA experience last year, but he's still learning. And, I don't want any of that stuff really to be around these guys. It's going to be this year a little bit, but internally they can keep it away, right? They can keep it away, deflect those questions. They keep saying how they want to be players in free agency next year. I get it. I know, but I think they should just be quiet on that front. I'm sure they want to let free agents know, hey, we're going to have some money. We're going to be players. Look at us. But I think right now we need to just really hone all of our energy in on these young guys.
Yeah, I agree. Besides, why would we want to trade for those guys when there's rumors out there that they want to come play for us? So, we could just wait it out 1 year and acquire those guys anyways and still have the young talent that we have, with us right now. I think people get on, Frank Ntilikina, but, I don't think people realize that we need players like him, players that can stop, today's point guard, that can score. And, he did a good job of showing that. I think he's a mid-range shot away from becoming Gary Payton V2, honestly. I think we need to be patient. I think it's, it's like a 3-year plan. Like I was trying to, think it's a 3-year plan for these guys. I think this year they just need to let it rock out. Let these young guys play. There's going to be some growing pains. And, next year, we can acquire some guys that will, help us maybe even make the playoffs. If we don't make, which I don't think we're going to make the playoffs this year, But, yeah, I think that, hopefully next year we can acquire some, free agents that'll get us there. And then, maybe year 3, who knows what can happen. I think, with KP also, I think he's a big deal. I don't think people realize that, he wasn't really supposed to contribute like 3 years in after he picked. Everyone, Phil Jackson had a plan, and, believe it or not, I still believe in that plan with him. He was supposed to bulk up his core, and, maybe 3 years be a contributor, because, he's highly skilled. And, one thing about him is, if he ever puts on that weight and he becomes like a strong player down low, I think people need to watch out, because he's gonna be virtually unstoppable, I think.
Okay. Hey, Ryan, man, I appreciate the call. I'm gonna let you go. I want to shout out a couple of people, but I appreciate the call, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I have a good one. A couple of shout outs I want to get to. A couple of shout outs out here. Mighty Knicks, thank you for the super chat. Gave a shout out to the show. Gave a shout out to the Knicks wall. And then I have a couple of questions up here through the super chats for you, John.
Okay.
We got CP the Artist. He asks, is KP really worth $30 million a year?
Oh, yes. If you're talking about like NBA economics, like it's not a fair system right now, because really the best players, they should be making a lot more than or let me rephrase that. They're worth a lot more than the max contracts allow them to make. And it comes down to the fact that, like, you got to get stars. Is KP a star, really, is essentially the question. Is he worth, when you're asking, is he worth $30 million a year? I mean, there was a statistic that I went and found from Basketball Reference in terms of players that were, I think, 22 or younger, to have a season with as high a usage rate as KP just had, and also I think it was as high a true shooting percentage, or I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And he's in like a very, very, very select group of guys throughout the history of the NBA. He's still so young. Like, that's what I think people fail to remember. I mean, this is a guy that he just finished his 3rd year in the NBA. If he went to college and he stayed all 4 years, he wouldn't have even, he would have just graduated.
Right.
Not to mention the fact that things he could do, it's so rare in the NBA that you could get a player on your team who's going to be a mismatch regardless of who else is on the floor that you're playing against. And KP is that guy. Is there a little risk with the injury? Of course there's risk with the injury. Is there, a risk with the fact that we've never seen a 7'3" guy do, kind of last and have a long career? Yeah, absolutely. But then again, there haven't been that many 7'3" guys to come across the NBA landscape in the league. So to me, you got this guy, and you get his work ethic, you get his desire to be great. You get the fact that he eats, sleeps, breathes basketball. I mean, don't discount the fact that there are not that many guys out there in the world that want the pressure that comes with playing in New York City. because I got news for you. A lot of guys had an opportunity to come here over the years, and they did not want this.
That's very true.
KP wants it. He embraces it. He understands it's a pain in the ass, and he deals with it anyway. And I think let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. They got this guy with the 4th pick in a draft that winded up. I mean, if you go back and look at that draft, man, they are lucky they got him, because if you look at the guys picked immediately before him and the guys picked immediately after him, none of them ain't doing anything in the NBA.
And I wanted Moutier in that draft. Looking at where I was like,
and that wasn't
I wanted Moutier.
He was the number 1 prospect in his class, I think, a year and a half prior to that draft.
Mm-hmm.
He was good.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me get to another one of these super chats. I think we have another question up here for you. I'll give a shout out to Demo B. Shout out to Mighty Knicks. Said he believes in KP more than he did with Melo. And Siobhan Robinson, thank you for the super chat. Said the draft pushed the Knicks 2 years ahead of plan. How do you feel about that comment?
The draft pushed the Knicks 2 years ahead of the plan. I mean, it's tough because I think from the day Scott Perry took over, they were always kind of targeting the summer of 2019 or the summer of 2020 as being able to make a splash. I think what the draft did is they made that more than a pipe dream, because to me, NBA players aren't stupid, and they're observant, and they pay attention to what goes on in other cities. And if you don't think everybody in the NBA notices the fact that the Knicks just got 2 guys who look like they can be serious players in this league, trust me, everybody notices. So now, all of a sudden, whereas the talk of 2019, I think before the draft, I myself was the first person to be like, let's not put all of our eggs in that basket. They're so far away from being able to compete. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, okay, well, now maybe you're not that you're any closer to being able to compete as it currently is, because again, Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, even Frank Ntilikina, these guys are still so raw and still have so far to come. But now at least you can, stand there with a straight face and say, it's not just KP and a maybe or a couple of babies around him. Now it's like, it's KP and 3 or 4 legitimate building blocks.
Exactly. Legit guys.
But so really, I guess the short answer to the question is, if it gets them someone next summer, then it sped up the rebuilding process.
Yeah.
If they don't get someone big to come walk through the door, I think you're still looking at, like let's just say for argument's sake, they didn't sign a big name in 2019 and they pushed all that cap space over to 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, getting way ahead of ourselves. I mean, what are we a year from now? A 40-win team, a 45-win team. I don't know. I think that's not crazy, but
I think you're right. I think it's going to depend on what happens next, what happens after the draft, and we still got to see what these guys are going to do when they actually are on an NBA floor with NBA players.
Oh,
and
we
got to see, we got to see
Absolutely.
what they're going to do. Caller, who am I speaking with? Who's on the line? What's up?
What's going on, man? It's AJ.
AJ, what's poppin', man? Where you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Queens.
From Queens in the house. That's what's up. So what's going on with you, man? How you feel about what we've been, some of the things we've been talking about today?
I'm feeling pretty good about our future. What's going on to John too? Big supporters of both you guys. But I like everything. Knox obviously looks like a stud. Mitchell Robinson also looks like another stud. As long as Knicks fans has patience, our patience for about 3 years, we should be all right. But a lot to be excited about. And also David Fizdale. I'm pretty big on him. I believe everything he says in like interviews. He's pretty meticulous about what he says. I pay a lot of attention to what he says about Frank, Knox. I really think he wants to run the pick and roll a lot with KK and KP. And he also said he wants Frank to shoot a lot of threes. He wants his feet set, something along that nature. So also a play popped out in the Utah Jazz game in Summer League. Knox was running the pick and roll with Mitchell, pulled in the help side defense. Frank was open for that three. I could see that play being ran a lot. We also have KP that can hit the 3-2. I mean, it's a lot of good things. Big thing with Frank, you know, everybody wants Frank to be that offensive, aggressive guy. I really think Biz doesn't want him to be that. I think he actually wants kind of Knox to kind of run the offense in certain scenarios. I would say about maybe 25-30% of the offense.
Or do you mean run it through Knox?
Yeah,
instead of him
running
it through Knox.
Exactly.
Okay.
Excuse me, run it through Knox. Because Frank, he's capable of running the offense. And, you know, we can see that. So that's pretty good. But having the height advantage of what we saw in Summer League of Knox and Mitch running that, I mean, can you imagine with Knox and KP, all the threes KP's going to get?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we seen Knox and Robinson run. I'm trying to remember what the exact play was, but it was some kind of roll action to the rim and Knox threw Robinson an alley-oop. And I mean, you know, 6'9" guy that could maybe one day be 6'10" or, you know, grow to 6'10", throwing it to another 7-foot guy. You know, that's pretty much amazing.
Okay, yeah, that is. I know the play you're talking about. Knox caught it on the baseline, kind of like curled around through the alley-oop. And they have a little bit of chemistry in the McDonald's All-American game. They were throwing some alley-oops to each other before. You know, you scrub some videos back then. But it's looking good, man. It's looking good.
It is.
Honestly, I don't have nothing else, you know, bad to say. Of course, we got our baggage from Noah. That's the biggest one. But
okay.
Hey,
man.
I mean, you know. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, at least Phil, he gave us like a 50-50. Once he came in, he said we're not trading any picks. I mean, that was one of the best things that ever happened for the Knicks in, you know, 2 decades.
Yeah.
So as bad as he gave us bad contracts. You know, we can't defend that. But he gave us our picks back. He said we're not trading nothing. And luckily, Perry was able to build off the foundation of just having your picks so you can have a foreseeable future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at least going on from present, I'm pretty happy. I'm good.
Okay, sounds good, man. Oh, go ahead. I'll let you get this last thing in before I roll out.
Okay. And Alonzo Trier, I think he kind of reminds me of like a 1990s movie, The Double Dragon. Like the exact opposite of Frank Ntilikina. And if you know if we can get his defense up and we can make him look for at least trying to get somebody the ball before he gets into his like semi-tunnel vision, I think we got a special two-piece right there because Fizz wants to run, you know, 6'5" and up point guards. He wants to run long point guards. So if you can turn Alonzo Trier into a serviceable point guard, you don't need an offensive point guard in free agency no more. We can grow one right here.
Okay. Hey, good take. I like that take. Good take, AJ.
All right.
Appreciate the call, man. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah. Peace out, AJ. Talk to you later, man.
You too.
What do you think about Alonzo Trier?
You know, I had watched not a ton of Arizona this last year just because I'm old and I tend to go to sleep before those games tip off. But, you know, I read up a little bit on him before the draft, and I think the word was that he was a guy who was going to be able to put the ball in the basket pretty easily at the next level, but that there were significant concerns on defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we saw both of those things in the summer league. The thing that I thought was nice that we saw a lot of was his ability to handle the ball. He looks like he'll be able to be a serviceable pick and roll ball handler, which is nice. The more of those guys you could have on your team, I think the better. Is he an NBA player? I mean, you look at a guy his size he's always going to have those types of concerns on defense. And that, the tough part about the NBA, where the NBA is going now is, once upon a time, if you were a guy who was smaller and had his issues on D, you didn't need to be this like crazy otherworldly shooter to be able to stay on the floor. Now, I feel like if you're a player Trier's size with Trier's issues on defense, if you're not someone who is just basically automatic from the outside or can really create offense on their own, it's tough for you to get playing time for a good NBA team. Can he develop into that type of offensive threat? Maybe. I honestly have no idea. But I thought the couple of things we saw from him in summer league were nice.
Yeah. And I didn't know too much about him either. I did see he can create off the dribble. I've seen a couple of times where he wanted to pound the ball, but I think he can be taught, he can be developed. He's a young player. That's what,
sure.
If you've been playing on teams where that's been your role, then that's what you're going to do. So I'm interested to see what happens with him. The interesting dynamic to me and what we've been talking about in the chat a lot is him and Dotson.
Okay.
Because I don't know, you look at Dotson's age. I don't know how much you expect from Dotson or what people's expectations were this year. I know he gets like 1.5 million this year and 1.5 million next year, 1.6 or something like that. What's the expectation? What's that dynamic like? Does he end up taking Dotson's spot or minutes?
I don't think so. I mean, well, you look at a couple things. One, he could only play 45 days, or he could only be on the NBA roster for 45 days by the nature of his contract. So, it's not like he's going to be here anytime soon. He's going to start the league or start the year in the G League, and he's going to be there for a while. I'm high on Dotson myself because I think I like his shooting form. I think he has a really good shot. I know he didn't light the world on fire in summer league, with the exception of that last game in which he actually, he looked. There was a stretch there in the third quarter of their consolation game for the summer league that he was catching fire a little bit. I like Dotson. Anytime you could put a guy on the floor who could guard 2 or 3 positions and is going to be able to knock down threes at an efficient rate, I mean, those guys are always going to be able to get playing time in the league. And I think, you had mentioned Courtney Lee before. I don't really see a scenario where Courtney Lee is on this team come training camp. I think they're going to figure out a way to move him. Whether they get an asset remains to be seen. But the only way that I could see Courtney Lee being on the team come training camp is if, and again, I don't expect this, but if they moved Hardaway, then I don't think they would go into the season without Hardaway or Lee. But I could be wrong, and part of me hopes I am wrong, because I would love nothing more than to see Dotson get about 25 minutes a night this year. Maybe even more. And I think they're going to play Frank a lot at the nominal 2. When I say nominal 2, because I don't tend to think of things in like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think of who are your ball handlers, who are your wings, and who are your bigs, or who's your big.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get to another call here. If you want to call in, let me give you the number real quick. If you want to call in, 516-405-2246. I'm also going to open it up where you can video in. If you want to video in, go to appear.in/NBK. What's going on? Who am I speaking with?
What's up, man? This is Esco, man.
Oh, Esco. Oh, boy. Esco. What's going on, man?
What's going on?
I think you're a new legend
buddy?
here. I think you are a new legend here. Yes, sir.
What's going on, man?
What's up with you, man? So what you got for me tonight, man?
Hey, man, I had to call in, man, because I can't take it, man. I can't take it, man. I cannot take it.
You can't take it.
Man.
Oh, let's go.
Hey, hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second, because I got there we go. Okay, go ahead, Esco. My bad.
Man, I just can't take it, man. I tried my best, but I can't take it.
What can't you take?
Let me just start.
I'm putting 5 minutes on the clock for you, Esco. I'm putting 5 minutes on the clock, and you can go in.
Okay, let me just hurry up with this. You know what? Let me make this fast as I can.
All right.
You know what this draft reminded me of? I don't know if you remember. You remember when Wallace, like what's his name, Dante Jones, and what was that boy name? And McCarty got drafted in the same draft. You remember that?
Yep. Walter McCarty. You said Walter McCarty.
Yeah.
What's his name from Syracuse? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, John Wallace and
John Wallace.
and
Yep,
Dante Jones. You remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah, he kind of remind me of that. You know, them ain't really the players like Knox and Mitchell was, but you know, we thought they was until it really didn't pan out. You remember that?
Yep. So
let me just go and get to this, man.
So what are you telling me? What are you telling me? Oh, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. That I just let into the appear.in. I'm putting you on mute for a second so that Esco can get in. Then I'll get you on. All right, go ahead, Esco.
Okay. I had stuck around. You know, the last time I called in, I stuck around.
Uh-huh.
And I heard the little, you know, I seen the, you know, a couple of people in the chat, and I heard what Miss Golden Magnum was talking about. So I'm like, you know, about the little Frank Ntilikina. Now look, man, I wasn't talking about he lazy, as in, you know, he don't want to hustle. I was saying his game was lazy. I tell you what.
Okay, so you're saying his game is lazy. He's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. He's not lazy as in hustle. I was saying I tell you what. The little couple of people was saying that. I was saying he was lazy, it's ridiculous. I tell you what, how about y'all go get an Energizer battery and stick it up Frank Ntilikina's ass and make him do something?
I'm gonna need you to bring it. I need you to bring it down a little bit, man. Let's try to keep the cursing out.
Oh, okay. My bad, bro. But they need to, you know, it's some. That's what I was trying to tell them. Okay. But let's be real, man. Let's be real. Mm-hmm. All them players, it just trash. Other than Porzingis, Knox. I like Mitchell, Trill, and the one I got on you about, Trey Burke. The rest of them is pure trash. Everybody knows it. So why would these people sit here and be like, man, I wish he'd do the pick and roll right. He might learn how to shoot better.
So are you saying KP is pure trash?
No, I said let's be real. Everybody just need to be real and stop sitting here saying, well, if he play the pick and roll better, if he shoot better, if he come back and work hard, oh, damn. The best players we have right now.
Okay, tell me who that is.
Is Chris Tapp, Porzingis.
Okay.
You got that boy Knox.
Okay.
I like Mitchell.
Okay.
Trier. And the one I got on you about, Trey Burke.
Okay.
The rest of that mess is terrifying.
So we got five.
You know,
So that's it. We got 5 players. Nobody else worth getting any playing time. Everybody else got to go. That's what you're saying. Everybody got to go.
hold on, let me name one more.
One more. Okay.
That boy that they just got from Orlando. Now, I like his game. What's his name?
Mario.
The rest gotta go. What's his name? Mills and Perry. They gotta revamp that whole second unit, man. They gotta revamp that whole second unit. Point blank, period.
Okay. Half the people that you just named, couple of people you just named, might be on the second unit. Trier ain't even gonna be on the second unit. Trier's gonna be Trier. He won't even be on the second unit. Trier's gonna be in the G League.
He don't need to be in the G League. He don't need to, man.
We'll see. I can't wait till the season starts so you can call in, man. You got 9 seconds left, man. What you got for me?
I'm going to tell you like this. Everybody's damn trash except the 5 I called out. And I'm going to leave it at that.
All right, man. Let's go.
I love your show.
Appreciate it,
wish
brother.
I had more time.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I will when I listen to it, and when I be looking at the show, and I can't take it no more, I'm gonna have to call in.
Okay, I'll be waiting for it. I'll be waiting for it.
Now somebody talking nonsense and all this, man, I think he can shoot better. Man, I think he can play the pick and roll better. See, I'm gonna call in on that type of crap,
All right, man. All right, well, let me
say one more quick thing.
One more. You got 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
20 seconds, man. 20 seconds.
You know why I don't like all that little jibber jabber type talk? Because let me tell you, so I was there when my boy Patrick Ewing got pushed out the air and broke his wrist, and I was sitting there in tears. I'm very passionate about my Knicks, man.
Okay.
So when I hear all that little mess, I gotta call in, bro.
All right, man. All right, well, I'm gonna be expecting to hear from you. I'll be expecting to hear from you.
You're going to hear from me all the time now.
All right, bro. All right.
Peace out,
all right,
man.
let's go.
I'll holler back at you.
Later.
Okay.
That's a brand new caller. Called in for the first time last show. His name is Esco.
You got a lot of energy.
Yeah, a lot of energy. You should hear the take from last show. He had everybody dying.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. So what I want to do now, we got a couple of guests that actually jumped in, appearing, and we want to bring them all up, let you guys speak to them a little bit. So I'm going to start off. You guys know Tony Crow. You see Tony Crow on the screen, so you know Tony Crow. We got, obviously, Jonathan is here. And then we got a new guest. What is it, Vivek? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. How you say your name?
It's Vivek.
Vivek. All right,
yes.
Welcome to the show, Vivek.
Thank you.
All right, so I guess we might as well start with you, Vivek. You have any questions for John or any comments about what you heard so far of the show?
Yeah, I just wanted to begin. You got a great show. This is the second show I'm listening into. I listened into last week when you brought my man Tommy D on.
Okay.
And I guess I just wanted to sum up a little bit because I was trying to call him a little earlier. Yeah, so I just want to start off real quick. Summer League team, obviously very impressive. And I guess, Knox obviously showed out. He had a pretty good few games. Mitch too. The only thing I'm a little bit concerned with Mitch is that he's going to need a lot of time. I know I spoke with actually Jonathan. I think we had back and forth conversation on Twitter a lot.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is the Vivek I know from Twitter, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Nice.
But I was going to say there's a lot of fundamentals that Mitch needs to work on. And the main concern I have is, when he's kind of in space, he seems lost at times. He seemed, just trying to guard the pick and roll. And also in the post, some of the guys kind of torched him in the post. So I think he'll need some seasoning in the G League.
Mm-hmm.
How much time, I don't know. But I think it's going to be inevitable that he'll have to spend some time shuttling it back and forth because, what I was trying to say is that there's a point to developing players on the NBA squad, but you want to do it to an extent that it doesn't impact or it doesn't hurt the development of other players.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you can kind of let a kid run through the fire and pretty much, play in 20, 30 minutes. But if you remember the Sixers teams from, the first iteration of the process, when you kind of ran through like Michael Carter-Williams, Nerlens Noel, and all those guys, sometimes we kind of learned through that iteration, sometimes running, playing kids X amount of minutes through the fire is just not the right way to develop someone, especially if it harms the development of other players in the team. So
Okay.
that's just one thing I noted. Other thing I wish I would have seen is that I wish I saw more of what's the name? Tyrese Walker from Morehouse.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed pretty decent in the last game.
He did. He played pretty He played pretty well in the last game.
Yeah, I wish we saw a little more of him, because obviously I think Summer League, the real purpose of Summer League is to try to see who else can kind of make noise, especially to get a training camp invite, or better yet, try to make the Westchester team of some sort. So, I wish I saw a little bit more of him, because to be quite honest, once Frank was out for the last 3 games, you could kind of see that there's a big difference with him not on the floor from a distribution standpoint. Just a lot of the ball movement wasn't as crisp.
Yeah.
I wish I would have seen a little more. Like, at least they should have brought someone else in as a point guard.
Okay.
But with that said, the rest of the year, the only thing I hope for is maybe they can try to bring in they'll probably need a vet. If they do ship Lee, it'll probably be good to kind of find another vet that can do a Jared Jack type of situation, where instead of actually playing the minutes, maybe you can just ride the bench. But it'll be good for a very young team to kind of keep a vet on the squad.
I hear you. Tony, what's your takes on what you just heard from Vivek? You hear me there? I can't hear you, man. I can't hear you. Don't look like we can hear you. You might have to call back in, man. I might need you to call back in. I'm gonna let it out and get you to call back in.
I'll chime in 2 seconds. I just want to say that I agree completely with what Vivek, what you were saying, as far as like, if you look at the organizations in the league that are, perennially at the top of the lottery, your Orlando's, your Phoenixes of late. I feel like the trend, when you see guys on organizations that don't develop in the way that you want them to, it's 'cause, like what you just said before, they throw these kids out there without any real guidance, and there's a point where it becomes counterproductive. So I don't think you want to see that with Mitchell Robinson, which is why I agree with you. I think he starts the league out, or the year out in the G League. I'd be very surprised if we saw Mitch up at the big club at the start of the year.
Yeah. All right. So I
heard crazy suggestions like, hey, we got to play 25, 30 minutes a game.
No.
I'm like, no, we're close. We're not ready for that.
No, not a good idea.
Yeah. So new person that just joined us in appearing, I need you to turn it down in the back. All right. I need you to turn it down in the back so it doesn't get into the show. All right. Looks like he's going to turn it down. Yeah. I agree. I agree with your takes. And Vivek, I think you had some really good takes about how you develop, when you're developing players and being careful not to hurt other people in the term and during the time of that development. I think that's important. And sometimes even, you know what I mean? Sometimes, you want to throw guys out there, but you also want to throw them out there in situations that it's going to give them the best chance to be successful. You know what I mean? If you just throwing sometimes if you just throwing a guy out there into anything, it could be harmful. You know what I mean? So, but I trust that Fizdale is going to put guys in a situation to be successful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it just reminds me. I think what was the lockout season? I think they started the year with Tony Douglas as a point guard.
Yeah.
And I just remember they kind of threw. I think D'Antoni just threw him in the fire, and he was not built for this that role.
Right.
And his career pretty much died.
So who just joined us?
The Prince.
The Prince. Oh, it's the Prince.
Hello,
What's going on, Prince, man?
What's good? What's good? What's good?
I'm glad you was able to call
Yeah.
video in with us, man. I'm glad you was able to video in. Yeah.
Always. This new platform is dope. This is real
Appreciate it. We continuously try to take it up to another level. You know what I mean? Trying to take it up and make it get better and better. Yeah, appreciate it. So what's your take on everything, man? And we've been on for a little while, so we're gonna try to move through this. We're gonna try to move through this so we can move through the rest of our topics. And but what's your take so far? Draft, summer league, where we're going?
Summer league, like I said, I was a little disappointed. We took that L early, but I mean, Boston, you got to think that was they program, process, if you may, it is what it is. So those boys are ready to play. They came out, they scouted Knox, they definitely made him earn his buckets, and I still think, that little 12, what did he have, 12, 15 points, was still pretty good production. I mean, yeah, it wasn't 27 and, the high numbers he was putting up before, but, I still wish we could have played a little deeper for more meaningful games to really see if those boys had it in them. But like I said, I was pretty happy. Dotson, he did. That scared me. I know it scared a lot of Knicks fans, and I know to him, I think he's probably going to come into training camp in the season with a chip on his shoulder. Hopefully he don't get caught up in a package deal and get traded out of here. But if he does, I mean, honestly, like I said, because I think a lot of people, me personally, I thought he was going to look like Jason Hart for the Lakers, Josh Hart, Josh Hart for the Lakers. So I thought he would come out pre-season putting up.
Sorry about that. We had a little bit of a we're bringing guys back in right now. Had a little bit of a. There we go. Like I said, I got a new got this new system here and so I did something on my end. Wasn't the system's fault. You know what I'm saying? All right, you should be good now. We should be good now. Can you guys hear me? We back in? There we go. I heard somebody. You back in? Well, till we get you guys back in, Ron Cleveland, what's popping, man?
Man. Knicks wall still on?
Yeah, he's still here. Give me 1 second, Ron. Hey, right. Jonathan, can you hear me? Looks like I lost him, and he can't.
I can hear you, Sim, but I'm not up. Oh, there we go.
Okay. Hey, the Prince, give me 1 second. All right, got Ron Cleveland. Ron Cleveland, go ahead with it, man.
Man. What's up to the chat, man? Much love to the Knicks family. Knicks wall, much respect. Much respect to you, of course, Sam, man. Hey, man, my overall take of our summer league, man, this whole process, man, with everything that's going on with us, man, it's a great time to be a Knicks fan, man.
Yeah.
If you've been sleeping under a rock somewhere, man, you better jump on board. You better get on board because the train is moving.
I feel you.
Moving. You having a chance to look at all our players, man. I'll start with the obvious guy to me. You know what I mean? Mitchell Robinson, man. I can't say enough about that kid. His potential is so scary, man. It's really unbelievable how that kid is playing. To think about it, that he didn't even play about a year and a half of organized ball. That's a big look for him, and I'm gonna go on record and say this, man. I think he continue to progress the way he's progressing. Enes Kanter gonna be in trouble. He's gonna be in trouble. That kid keeps doing like this, because my thing is, there's no need to put no training wheels on him. If he continues in training camp, preseason, and look like this, you can't hold him back. And especially with the fact that Enes is on an expiring, we're not going to keep him anyway. See what I'm saying? You can package Enes and Courtney Lee and send both of them guys somewhere. You know what I mean? And get something substantial.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because Enes will still help a team. But he just don't fit. I just don't see him fitting with us. His defense is not going to improve. He's just what he is. And no knock on him. Dotson, I'm going to give him a reprieve.
I was about ready to run him out of town. I'm gonna give him a reprieve. Looking at how he played in that last game, it was pretty much how he played in the summer league the year before. Even when he played coming up on that 2-way contract last year, that's what I expected to see from Dotson. So I wasn't shocked how he played this last year. I was more shocked how he played the games before.
Right.
Alonzo Trier, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. You know what I mean? I like what I'm seeing from him. Offensively, you know the kid can score. You know what I mean? My only question is when running the offense, especially with the way, you know what I mean, our coach want to run positionless basketball, basically saying you want anybody from any position to be able to bring the ball up and run the offense. I'm not too sure about him running an offense. Now, let's look at my guy, Tim Hardaway Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I think they really need to go hook up with Sacramento, man. They need to call Sacramento. And I think I heard, if I'm not mistaken, I saw a little article where they're talking like they're trying to explore trades with Sacramento. So, and if we remember, that was the deal done before Scott Perry came in the office. You know what I mean? And that contract ain't a bad contract when you look around the league. The guy can put up numbers. My thing is, man, if we're going to move in a new direction, we need to just see Scott Perry's vision, man. And I don't him from everything that's going on. I don't even hear them really saying much about Tim Hardaway Jr. I heard one little comment when Scott Perry was on your guy Stephen A. Smith's radio show. But that was the only thing. I ain't about this whole process really about Scott, man. But what you think gonna happen, Tim, with all these trade rumors?
What I think is gonna happen with all the trade rumors? For this summer?
Yeah, going into the season. During the season.
I don't think anything's gonna happen this summer. If anything is gonna happen, I think maybe it happens. I don't think anything's gonna happen. I don't even think it's gonna happen at the trade deadline, to tell you the truth.
Well, you see Courtney Lee playing the whole season with us?
No, I don't think Courtney Lee is gonna be here. I don't think Courtney Lee is going to be here come the beginning of the season.
That's the one move. That's the one move we definitely can see happening. But I mean, as a whole, man, just looking at what we're doing right now, I mean, I was sitting down thinking, man, Sam, when the last time have we had this cohesion, man, with that front office? I mean, I'm more excited about that than anything. You know what I mean? Because I mean, you can find ballers that gonna ball. You know what I mean? If you're an NBA guy, you got your scouts and everything. You can find the players, man. But that synergy between the front office guys and coach, because in the past, so you can attest to this, man. In the past, it always felt like there was a struggle, a fight between the front office and the coach. Like the front office guys were trying to be the coach instead of allowing the coach to coach.
Right.
That's how it's always seemed to been going on with New York for the longest of time, man. Van Gundy was here, man. There was always a fight with the front office. And of course, we even Pat Riley. Let's be real. If Pat Riley left, didn't even tell him he was leaving. They got a resignation via fax. You know what I mean? So it was always that fight. And this is I'm loving what I'm seeing, man. Much love to the chat.
All right, man. I appreciate the call. Yep.
Do your thing, man.
No doubt. I appreciate the call, man. I was waiting for you to call in, too.
Yeah, man. Hey, I was trying to get through. I was on the line holding. It started ringing earlier. I thought I was going to get through, but then I had to call back. Hey, patience pays off, man. And that's all I got to say with us. We keep being patient. And I don't know if you saw the last thing before I leave. You heard what they say Scott Perry is flying to Latvia and what he's going to be doing? He's going to be showing KP tapes of Kevin Knox and how they can play together. I'm just excited. I'm ready to see what KP got to say, man, about our summer league. That's what I'm waiting to hear. What he got, because I know he's watching.
Yeah,
got to be watching.
Okay.
So man, hey, much love, man. Keep doing your thing. The Knicks will be back.
I'm with you.
All right, man.
All right, appreciate it, Ron. Definitely appreciate the call. Definitely appreciate the call. The Prince, can you hear me? Don't think he can. All right. All right, so we're gonna get back on with Jay Macri, and Jay, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yes, yes, sir. And you don't even have to call. You don't even have to do it through the phone. I can hear. We can hear you through the app.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So, yep. So you could you could probably put the phone down and maybe you could probably. Well, no, you wouldn't be able to hear me. Yeah. Hold on for 1 minute. Hold on for 1 minute. I got Let me All right, there we go. All right, Jay. So let's get on and let's move on with NBA trades and rumors. Just regular NBA trades and NBA rumors. Just things that have happened so far in the league. So far in the league, we've seen, of course, LeBron James go to the Los Angeles Lakers. Obviously that's been the biggest move. Of course, DeMarcus Cousins going to Golden State Warriors, but some of the smaller things we've seen, we just seen what's his face sign a deal with Chicago. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the summer so far went kind of as expected. For me, at least, in terms of LeBron, I expected LeBron to end up in LA, so I wasn't really surprised about that. I expected Chris Paul to end up back with Houston. Thought they did pretty good there, getting them on just 4 years at his age. I thought the story of the summer was how restricted free agency developed in terms of, you saw a couple of guys, Zach LaVine signed a big contract as a restricted free agent. I thought that was, well, I mean, if you look at who gave him the offer sheet, it was Sacramento. So maybe that makes some sense, because that organization hasn't always been the most competent. But then you looked at some other guys, like, you got Julius Randle, former number 7 pick in the draft. He, became unrestricted in order to be able to sign with New Orleans. Marcus Smart, there's still nothing going on with him. Jabari Parker, former, number 2 overall pick in the draft. I understand he's coming off of ACL, but there was really not much of a market out there for him. So I thought definitely restricted free agency was probably my like most under the radar story of the summer. As far as the deal that Parker got, I mean, I didn't like it at first, really, because I thought it was 2 years guaranteed money, and it kind of screwed them over as far as cap space goes. But the fact that the second year is not guaranteed, or actually, I guess it's a team option. But it also puts them in a position if he does really well over 2 years to re-sign him. So, I didn't mind it that much, even though I'm not a fan of Jabari as a player. I do think it's interesting that they could have used that space to take on Melo and then waive him. But obviously they didn't want to go that route.
Yeah. What do you think about Jahlil Okafor? Because right now he's having a hard time. He's having a hard time getting a deal. Getting a deal done. Do you think that he ends up signing with a team somewhere?
I mean, I think he'll definitely sign somewhere. I'm curious. I think Jalil's going to be like a lot of these guys this summer that think that their market value is higher than what this market is dictating. I mean, look at Mario Hezonja. I think Mario Hezonja believes that he's more than a $6.5 million player, $6.5 million a year player. He signed for 1 year. So if I had to guess, I would guess that Jahlil Okafor is going to look for a situation for himself where he could sign for 1 year, not a lot of money, and just get 20 to 25 minutes a night for a coach that is going to be able to put him in a position to be successful. I don't think that there is a starting job out there for Jahlil. I mean, I know the workout video that he just released has everybody kind of very excited because it shows him, hitting some corner threes. He's ball handling and all that. The problem with Okafor has never been on offense, although, he has kind of been a little bit of a black hole on offense, as a guy who the only way you're going to be effective with him on the floor is to just keep pounding the ball into the post. Maybe he's evolved a little bit from that, but the problem has always been on defense for Okafor. And I don't know that, he's shown his ability to get better on that end of the floor. If you're asking me off the top of my head, do I see a perfect fit for him anywhere in the league? I don't, just because the center position is just so stacked everywhere you look.
Right.
But I think he'll find some place to give him 20, 25 minutes a night. I do not think that place is New York, though, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I don't think so either. What do you think about Damian Lillard? Is he happy in Portland?
Oof. Is Damian Lillard happy in Portland? I think he probably wants to get out, but I also think he's smart enough to know that he's under contract, and you could make a power play if you're an expiring contract like Paul George did. You could even make a power play if you are, someone with 2 years left on their contract, like we saw Kawhi Leonard do this year. But for Damian Lillard, I don't think he's in a position right now to demand out. But, if you're Portland, I mean, I think they're probably going to try to go for it. When I say go for it this year, I think they're going to, try to win games this year. But if they're smart, they'll start to look at the market for Lillard, this February. I mean, you look at what the Utah Jazz did several years back with Deron Williams. They got, a really nice trade package for Deron Williams because they traded him before, anybody thought he was ever going to be able to go on the market. And that turned out to be a great move. I think, Lillard is a better player and will age better than Williams, but people don't remember, Deron Williams was like a second team All-NBA guy. So I think for as good as Lillard looks now, he did not have a great season shooting the ball. If I'm the Knicks, I'm waiting on that situation. I mean, I know a lot of people want to trade, a massive package of young players and picks to get Lillard. He's not Kawhi Leonard in my mind. He's a step down from there. So I'm going to wait and see with Lillard.
Yeah. Speaking of Kawhi, what do you think happens with Kawhi?
I mean, Vegas has the odds still in favor of him ending up in Toronto. I mean, Toronto makes the most sense. They could offer a package centered around DeRozan, OG Anunoby, a future pick, one of their other young guys. They have a ton of young talent. Pirtle is a really good young player. They got, a couple other guys. Wright, the backup point guard there, I'm pretty high on him. I think that makes the most sense. Would Toronto do that? I mean, if you're Toronto, Zach Lowe has written a lot about the possibility of a Kawhi to Toronto trade. I think it makes sense because if you're Toronto, do you care that much about losing DeRozan at that price? I don't know. Maybe not. But I don't think if it is Toronto, I don't think Kawhi re-signs there. And I think I would be very surprised if he did not take meetings as a free agent next summer. But I still put New York as a dark horse contender for him because I think he wants to end up in LA, and I think his people, his uncle, I forget the guy's name, but the guy who basically is running his show, I think he wants him to end up in LA as well.
Yeah. Look, I know it's late. We've been on for about 2 hours, so I want to I'm gonna get to this last question for you.
Sure thing.
What's next for the Knicks this summer? What do we do next? Are we just looking at now just the guys working? Do you see anything coming up? I mean, I think there's probably going to be something with Courtney Lee. Do you see anything coming up in the future or the next month and a half, 2 months before training camp?
I think Yeah, no, I think really, you're not, if you're a Knicks fan, you're not looking for any big moves to be made this summer. I think if you're a Knicks fan, you're going to keep your eye on three things. I think one, in the most immediate future, I think you're going to look for them to move on from Courtney Lee. I think that they and other teams have been waiting for the free agency dust to settle, so to speak. But I think that there's absolutely a deal out there for Courtney Lee that some team will move on. I think the second thing you're going to look for, and it's not going to happen this summer, it's going to happen in September, is Joakim Noah. I've had a lot of conversations on Twitter with people about Noah. I agree that on paper, it doesn't make any sense to waive and stretch him to open up that cap space until you really need to, which, won't be until next July. That being said, they're trying to build something here, and what they're trying to build starts in that locker room. And Fizz has talked openly about how if you get the wrong guy with the wrong, with priorities that are not in line with what you want to do as an organization in your locker room, it could really torpedo everything you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So, that's the second thing I'm looking for. And then the third thing is Tim Hardaway. If there's an opportunity to move him into somebody else's cap space, would they do that? I tend to think that they won't. And I guess the last point that I'll make in general is Knicks fans, and I'm guilty of this too, we're constantly thinking about how does this guy fit in with what we're doing going forward. It's always about the fit. How does Damian Dotson fit in? How does Trey Burke fit in? How does Frank Ntilikina fit in? How does Tim Hardaway Jr. fit in? And while these are all valid questions, the NBA today, and we see this with Boston better than anybody, is all about taking your assets and maximizing them.
Mm-hmm.
So this year for Knicks fans, should not be about necessarily thinking about how these guys are going to fit in with this team the next 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years. It's about getting the most out of these players that are on this roster. And it's not necessarily going to be so they could stay here for the long term, but to potentially use them in other deals, down the line. That's why, does it make sense to trade Tim Hardaway Jr. as a salary dump coming off a year where he shot 31% from deep? There is some logic to that, but I say, hey, let him show that he could be a 35 or 6 or 37% three-point shooter and maybe a little bit better defender early in the year, and then maybe look to move him to a Sacramento or a team like that. Maybe Trey Burke becomes a sweetener in a deal for a draft pick or something along those lines. So that to me is what I'm looking at from here on in. I think they're for the first time in a long time, and I'm just really happy with the approach that Scott Perry and Steve Mills have taken with this team.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Jonathan, man, I really appreciate you. Really appreciate you coming on. I apologize. We had a little snag with the audio, and let me tell you what happened. Basically, I seen a little pop up that said add more people into your. Because I had it set at 4. So I said, well, maybe I'll add one more person. And then when I went to add one more person, it refreshed. And then when it refreshed, because the audio is going through the stream, it cut off the audio to you. So that's what happened.
Hey, listen, I think it's a good metaphor for the Knicks. Don't try to do too much too quick.
Exactly. Exactly.
You gotta keep it like I have a smoker. I like to smoke stuff in my backyard. You gotta do it like low and slow.
Yeah.
Don't rush it. I hate to use the phrase, but trust the process. Take your time.
Right. There it is.
Don't try to do too much too fast. I think that's what they're doing. It's a good thing.
Yeah. So I apologize about that. Next time we definitely won't have that problem because I know now. We definitely won't have that problem. Well, I'll talk to you about that off the air. But hey, I appreciate you coming on. I really look forward to doing it again.
Absolutely.
Sometime. And I know the people in the chat and the fans and everything. I know, they'd love to see you come on again. And if you have anything, I'd love to be a part of it as well.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate you having me on. I appreciate everybody who joined the chat. I was like laughing to myself a lot because I was seeing some of the things coming across the chat. That's why I love Knicks fans, man. I mean, we are an opinionated bunch, and we know our basketball. And anytime I could talk basketball with someone who knows what they're talking about, like yourself, I'm always gonna enjoy that opportunity. So I appreciate you having me on, 100%.
I appreciate it. So I'm gonna let you go. I know you got a little one, probably got a long day tomorrow. Monday.
Always.
First day of the week, and I'm gonna take a couple of more calls, and then I'm gonna get off myself. But I'll go ahead and let you go, and I'll hit you up on Twitter or whatever and talk to you.
Sounds good, man.
And talk to you about something we were talking about earlier.
That's perfect, man. Thank you again for having me on. Have a great night.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, big shout out to the Knicks Wall and Jonathan Macri, man. It was definitely a pleasure having him on. And listen, guys, this is live stuff you're seeing here. So, sometimes we're gonna go through some bumps and bruises, as we're doing some live things. So like right now we have some people that are on, appearing, and they can't really, they can't hear me because, I hit a little snafu, but I know now what to do and it won't happen again. I can promise you that. I know the Prince can hear me because he's listening through the live stream. You know what I'm saying? But then there's going to be a big delay between the two. So, I'm hoping that this won't happen again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a call. I got somebody calling in, and caller, what's popping, man?
Hey man, what's going on?
Who am I speaking with?
This is Chris.
This is who? Chris?
This is Chris calling you for live from Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn. What's popping, Chris, man? How you feeling?
Hey man, I'm good. I'm enjoying your show.
Appreciate it. Hey, so give me your takes on what you've heard so far with this show. What do you think? Where do you think the Knicks go next? What do we do next? Where do we move next? The summer league is over. Obviously the draft is over. Summer league is over. Where do we go?
Yeah, I think we are pretty much done with the off season, and we should consider ourselves. We had a guy like Mitchell Robinson who was drafting a lottery pick, dropped to 36, and we got him. Like, if you think about it, we should have had to choose between Knox and Robinson, and we got them both. So we just lucked out, and we signed Mario, who I like. And so I think we should just chill and give Fizdale, a year to develop guys and see which one work out and which one don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. What do you think? Do you think the Knicks trade Courtney Lee? What do you think about that? Where are you with that?
Yeah, that would be nice. But, he's kind of up there, man. He's 33, going on 34. So I'm not sure if they just find a trade partner without having, give up. You know how it works these days when you have to give up a contract. Yeah. You have to give up a pick.
Hey, Chris, yeah. I'm going to need you to do me a favor. I don't know if you have like another line, but right now it's hard for me to hear you. Everything is kind of scratchy. So I'm going to ask you, if you can give me a call back maybe on another line or something like that. All right?
Okay, no problem.
All right.
You have a good one.
You too. Right. All right, appreciate it. Yeah, guys, when you call in, man, make sure when you call in and when you want a video in, please make sure you got a good line. Make sure you got a good internet service so that we can hear, and see you clearly. You know what I'm saying? And listen, it's live, so sometimes there's gonna be some things that mess up. You know what I mean? Just like I had my little mess up with Jonathan Macri. You know what I mean? Had my little messed up, but it's gonna happen. But try the best you can to call in on a good line. Who am I speaking with?
this is Guillermo, man. How you doing?
Good, good. How you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. I just have a few quick comments, man.
Okay.
One on Donovan Mitchell, man. I like the kid's game, like I said before. I think if he goes to G League, he definitely needs to take about 5 to 7 shots a game. They got to instill that in him. Whoever helped develop Burke last year, take a liking to Mitchell and do the same in terms of shooting shots, because in the NBA, they're going to give him space like they give Noah, and they're not going to allow him to, make the easy passes and the pick and pass and all that stuff. So he definitely has to develop a shot, but if he does, I mean, he'll be legit. Also, Knicks fans, we gotta kind of chill out. I mean, we're getting a little too excited with our players. Look, I like Kevin Knox a lot. I like the kid Mitchell, but the thing with Knicks fans and Knicks organization is that we tend to oversell and we get too hyped. Like, for instance, we had the whole Melo thing, when we had those assets where we were 7th, 8th in the league, in the East, and then all of a sudden we saw Melo. Things like that, we rush into judgment. I think with this team, what we need to do, and this goes back to one of your early episodes, we talked about team grade. This team is able to develop a system where players could come in and be interchangeable and excel, right? And then we can sell some of these assets for, at the very least, a second-round draft. I think if we get at least 2 to 3 second-round draft picks for the next year's draft or the next 2 year or the next 2 drafts, I think you give this organization, at the very least a B or B plus.
Okay.
I'm looking at this team long term. People who talk about KP. KP is another asset. The guy's been, look, he has a devastating injury. If he comes back, it is what it is. But look, we haven't been winning with him. So I think this team needs to look at the players in the sense of how can I best develop these players and at the very least sell them off. We need to identify the dumb organizations. Excuse my language, but the stupid organizations like the Magics, the Sacramento Kings. I'm serious, and you sell these players off. The Celtics are doing so well, and it's not necessarily because of their players, but it's because they have had so many first-round draft picks. Then they drafted so well. They're sitting on an embarrassment of riches. Like, look at that 20-point game score who's going to come off the bench. And I think that's where the Knicks need to focus the energies on. So you got to look at this team as to, are we going to try to highlight some players like the Moutiers, the Courtney Lees, maybe the Marios, to be able to try to sell them for assets later on, or do we develop guys and have them maybe win 20 games, but you have some type of development scheme? Because if you do that, does a Kyrie Irving want to come here? Does a Kawhi Leonard want to come here to a team that only has 20 wins or whatnot? Or do you have a team that has, like the Celtics have? Obviously, we're not going to get a bunch of first-round draft picks, but, a bunch of second-round draft picks and a system that can highlight some players. So I think we have to make some good decisions. Let's look at this stuff long-term and try to get some of these assets. Like, Noah, we're not going to get anything for. Courtney Lee, we're not going to get anything for. But a guy like THJ, that's a guy we can sell to contender. Beasley, we should have tried to sell him off to the Cavs last year. Things like that. We got to just be a little bit smart, a little call them out, because I know you don't have a lot of time. But thanks for taking my call. Peace, man.
Appreciate it, man. Peace. I was listening to you. Don't think I wasn't listening to you. I was definitely listening. I know. Hey, I want to tell my man Isaiah. My man Isaiah was trying to he was trying to get into the appear.in. Isaiah, if you're still listening, man, go ahead and get in. I got a little workaround for you. So I'm gonna tell you, get in, put your headphones into your phone, and then we're gonna figure it out. All right. So get in the chat. Get in the appear.in. All right. Another caller. What's up? What's going on? You're on live.
Hey, what's up, Sim?
What's poppin', man? Who am I speaking with?
All right, man. This is Dwight, man, the original Jamaican Dandada.
Dandada. I'm with you. Oh, there we go. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I've been listening to your program for a long time, Sim.
Appreciate
I'm Dwight,
that.
Man. I listen to your program, and, man, you have a very nice program for a long time. I've never called in or anything like that, but I've always been listening, and I appreciate your knowledge on Nick history, man. I appreciate your passion.
I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that, man. And I'm glad you called. Definitely keep calling. You know what I mean? Keep calling. So what's your take on what's going on, man?
But I'll tell you something right now. My spin is a little bit different right now from everything because I'll tell you something. I have been a Knicks fan from Patrick Ewing was in Georgetown, man. I tell you, in Georgetown playing St. John's. At that time, I wasn't so much involved in basketball. But the day Patrick Ewing was drafted by the Knicks, that's the day I started to watch Knicks. That's the time I became a Knick. Up until now, we have been losing for a long time. But I'll tell you something. There's no other team I would just have this passion for except for the New York Knicks. New York is a team that we have struggled for so long. And right now, at this particular time, every Knicks fan should be smiling and laughing that better will come. It is coming. And thank God, those Knicks fans who have stayed in it, we are now seeing the fruit of our suffering.
Okay.
We are definitely Knicks fans. We are now just bandwagon fans. We are Knicks fans no matter what happens. We will stay with our team until they get better. And they are getting better right now. And
go ahead, man. I'm gonna let you go ahead, man. Go ahead. Let it go.
Yeah. And this is what I want to tell everyone right now. Okay? Every Knicks fan outside there. Do not be in a rush to make hasty moves with this team. The way it's being done is the proper way. Some people are talking about trade this guy, trade that guy. Look, fish stinks from the head to toe. It stinks. And what we have now is a good team at the top that they are controlling this team. They know what's going on. They are seeing things that we can't see. So sometimes we call them and want to say, hey, we're here, stop that nonsense. We have been doing it a long time. And where has it gotten us? Trade this guy. Let's get this guy. We don't know what's going on in the background. And I trust Perry. And whatever decisions they make, I am good with it. I am good with it. They have done good so far. They've gotten Jackson out. They've gotten all the bad coaches out. Everything is now being cleaned up. Let's have patience. Let's not be so quick to criticize. Let's hang in there. Okay? It's going to take time. And the next thing, I am glad that when Bill Dolan went to Las Vegas last week and saw the ball, I'm glad we didn't boo him. If we booed him, I am disappointed. Hey, look, I didn't like Bill Dolan because I thought what he was doing, he was messing up the Knicks. But you know what? That man, he has done so much for the New York Knicks. All he tried to do was to allow the Knicks to win. Unfortunately, he hired some bastards which didn't know what the hell they were doing. Because he's not a basketball man. He's a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, he hired these guys to fix the Knicks. Now, these guys took his money and ran. I mean, they were like midnight thieves. They took his money and ran. This man right now will spend money. How many owners out there are willing to spend the amount of money the Knicks have spent for all these years and say, you know what, okay, but this man knew, look, let me get the right management. Let me get the right people in and let them make the decision. He has now backed off and he has said, okay, I'm going to trust my front management group right now. Let them do it. So we can curse Bill Dolan all we want, but Dolan is James Dolan, but what he has done, he has spent more than any other owner out there. He has done his due diligence. All we need for him now is to continue backing off and let Perry and Mills run the show. That's what we need. Need to have patience and respect for the man. Respect for the man. Okay?
Hey,
so
I hear you, man.
So Knicks fans, just hang in there. Everything is getting to a point right now where we will do better. I have not seen so many podcasts, Nick podcasts popping up every minute, man.
You're right about that. There's a lot of them. Yeah, they popping up all over the place. I got some competition out here, man.
I'm telling you, Sim, but you're holding your own.
Hold it down. I'm a one-man show, too. Holding it down, one-man show.
Oh, man, I see a smile on your face, Sim. I see the smile on your face. I see it in your passion, man.
Yeah,
Everyone
man.
is calling up. Everyone is motivated. You see what I'm saying? So you know
That's
what,
right.
guys? Just
That's
keep
right.
in there, man.
That's
We're
right,
on the
everybody.
Right track. We're on the
That's it, man. That's it, man. Hey, I definitely appreciate your call. I definitely appreciate your call, man.
No problem, man. Hey, Nick for life, man. Nick for life. I don't care what happened. I'm a Nick for life. All right, man.
For sure, man.
Great to good shot, man.
All right,
Everyone, great to be a Nick.
Later, man.
All right, man. Later.
All right.
That's right. That's right.
All right, folks. Definitely. That was a very good call. That was a good call. I like that. I like that guy. You know what I'm saying? I like that guy. Let me take one more call, then let me see if I can get to these guys in the appear.in. You know what I'm saying? So, sound like we got some. Hold on for 1 second. This is what I need you to do. I need you to turn it down in the background. I need you to turn it down in the background, please. Well, doesn't sound like they turned it down in the background. I got to make sure you turn it down in the background. Listen, when you call, you definitely got to turn it down in the background when you call, okay? All right? If you can't turn it down in the background, then I can't take you in. Then it's hard for me to take your call. All right? So, New York Knicks fans, sound like we got a few things going on. With some audio, and like I'm saying, you guys gotta make sure you turn it down because right now, I can hear some things. There we go. So like right now, Vivek, I think what I need you to do, Vivek, is I need you to turn it down. Maybe try to put it in your earphones or whoever it is, before I can get you on. All right. But listen, it's late. I'm willing to take a couple more calls though. I got about 7 minutes to go. So I am willing to take a couple of more calls. You know what I mean? Take a couple more calls and we can talk a little bit. But listen, you know what? What the last caller just said, man, there's definitely a lot of people popping up. A lot of what do you want to call it? A lot of podcasts and things popping up all over the place, and people are doing them well. They're doing a good job. There's a lot of them out there. Listen to them. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you come back and listen here, though. So there's a lot of them popping up all over the place. And it's hard these things aren't easy to do. But I'm glad you guys are here and you guys are rolling with us, rocking with us. Daniel, you said screen the callers. Hey, that was a good call. You know what? Listen, we do this live. You know what I mean? And sometimes we get what we get. If things get too crazy, then we close it off. You know what I mean? That's just how it goes sometimes. People said, I don't need an intern to screen the callers. This is the fabric of the show. Sometimes you get what you get. I mean, he was a cool caller. You know what I mean? He was a cool caller. But we're in a good space. And what do I see coming up next from the New York Knicks? And I think I talked about it a little bit on the last show. I just want to see the Knicks work over the summer, the rest of the summer. I just want to see the Knicks work. I want to see the young guys work. I want to see guys in the gym working out. We're gonna see some videos, right? I want to see guys in the gym working, getting ready for the season, those type of things. You know what I mean? That's what I want to see. I want to see if there's gonna be moves. I want to see some smart moves from Courtney Lee and those guys. You know what I mean? Not from Courtney Lee, for Courtney Lee, from Scott Perry, for Courtney Lee. I want to see something smart there. You know, something that, you know, and I have no doubt that they're working on making something like that happen. You know what I mean? I have no doubt about it at all, you know, to making something like that happen. So, you know, we'll see what happens, what goes on. I want to make a couple of announcements, though. 2 announcements that I want to make. One, me and the entertainer, we've been working. You know, we've been talking about some things, and we got something coming up in a couple of weeks that we think you guys are gonna enjoy. You know, something we're gonna do together that I think you guys are gonna enjoy. So be on the lookout for that. You know what I mean? He's a good guy, and you know, we're working on expanding the show, the channel, not just the show, the channel. This show is gonna be the same. But some things that I'm working on doing, and I want to put this out to you guys because I know you guys have a lot of ideas. And this is a Knicks channel, right? So if you all have, and guys that's appear in, I want you to stay there even when I shut off the show, all right? And then I'm gonna talk to you in a minute. If you guys have ideas or pitches for a show that can be on the channel, I want you to give them to me. And I'm putting the email in the chat. You know what I'm saying? I know there's people out there that want to be on YouTube, that want to have shows, that want to do some things like that. Email it to me. And if I think it's a good idea, I'll reach out to you and we could talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, we have a very good fabric of fans, Knicks fans on this show. I know you guys have a lot of ideas and are bursting with things, and so I want to hear your suggestions. I want to hear your ideas. If you have something that's really good, you know, let's talk about what we can do together. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about what we can do together. But please be on the lookout for the show that I'm doing with the entertainer. Be on the lookout for that. Also, mark your calendars for this. The date could change, but mark your calendars. September the 20. Let me get this right. September the 25th. Now, if my calculations are correct and from previous knowledge, what I know is correct, on September 24th, that's about the time that we should have Media Day. That's when Media Day should start. That's when training camp should start. So I'm thinking it'll be like September 24th. That's usually around the time. I think last year was September the 25th. Okay. The next day, September 25th, 2018, I'm going to have a Knicks training camp roundtable. Okay? A Knicks training camp roundtable. And what's going to happen is, you know, you seen today we had 4 people in the chat, 3 people in the chat. In the video chat. I have about 10 people in the video chat, and we will do a roundtable discussion on the Knicks upcoming season. And I'll see how that goes over. And if it goes over well, it might be something that I do once a month, but we're going to see how that goes over. All right. So mark your calendars, September the 25th, roundtable discussion on the upcoming Knicks season. It'll be called Knicks Training Camp Roundtable. Okay. Knicks Training Camp Roundtable. And, I'll pick out a couple of fans, Knicks fans, that is. Pick out a couple of Knicks fans to talk. I'll have, a couple of people like possibly Knicks Film School or John Macri. Hopefully I'll have some of them. join us in the roundtable, but I want you guys to stay on the lookout for that. As soon as we confirm the dates for training camp, I'll hit you with the date for the roundtable. But right now, I'm looking at September the 25th. All right, looking at September the 25th. And listen, if you want to be part of that roundtable, because like I said, it'd be 6 to 10 people, maybe even 12 people. If you want to be part of that roundtable, you got to make sure you have a good connection. Got to have a really good connection. Okay. Make sure you have, even if it's on your phone, a good camera so that everything comes in nice and clear. And we'll do a couple of test runs beforehand. The system works very well. It was a user error. There's a lot of user error going on when it comes to me. Trust me. All right. So please mark your dates on that. Definitely mark your dates. Okay. And I'm gonna give my man. I know who's Mark been trying to get in, trying to call. Who's Mark? Just call the number. You know what I'm saying? You was on the screen and it was just a black screen. Just call the number, 516-405-2246. Just a regular phone call, my brother. Right? Just call the number. You know what I'm saying? Just call the number. But, again, I'm going to announce it one more time so that you guys have this in your mental Rolodex. Right? Mark it in your phones. Mark down the date in your phone right now as I'm saying it. September 25th. It could move based on the training camp and media day schedule. But right now, mark down September 25th. We're going to have a Knicks training camp roundtable with up to 12 people. It's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun, real cool. And then also mark down and keep it in your mental Rolodex that me and the entertainer is working out something that, we're working on a little something that I think you guys should enjoy. You know what I'm saying? That I think you guys should really, really enjoy. Who's Mark? Like I said, man, call. Just call, because right now you will not be able to hear me if I pick you up in the appear.in. And it's not appear.in. It's my fault. Right? Because I hit something here that I shouldn't have hit, and I refreshed it and it disabled the audio. Not a huge problem. It's just that I wasn't going to shut down the stream to get that audio back up. That's why me and Jay Macri, got on the phone. So we had a nice little workaround. Sometimes you got to roll with the punches and do what it do. You know what I mean? So, who's Mark? There's a number scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Call in through a regular phone, 516-405-2246. And you can talk. If not, then I have to catch you on Tuesday night. As a matter of fact, Tuesday night, Knicks Film School will be in the building. So please make sure you join us Tuesday night for Knicks Film School. You know what I'm saying? Join us. And Isaiah, I'm not sure you're looking at inside of the app that I just gave you. Inside of that appear.in app, there's a chat inside there, and I did leave some messages in the chat. Maybe you didn't see the chat that's inside there. Okay. But anyway, Knicks Film School. Knicks Film School will be on Tuesday night, and that's going to be guaranteed to be a very good show. You know what I'm saying? We've been talking and we got some things lined up for the show. It's going to be a pretty good show. All right. So make sure you catch us on Tuesday night. I will have the audio back up with appear.in. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, have a good week. Have a good start to your week. You know what I mean? It's Monday morning already, 1:05 a.m. I'm glad you guys stayed on with me. I know some people, probably hot with me because they couldn't get on the call, but when we got a lot of people calling in at the same time, not everyone's going to be able to get through. We only got a couple of hours here. I really usually only plan on being on for 2 hours, always end up going over a little bit. Last time I was on for 3 hours, but I really respect you guys for for roughing it out with me. You know what I'm saying? And you guys are witnessing all the little trips and bumps and bruises and everything as we rock and as we go. You guys are witnessing it all, and you're sticking with me. But it's getting better and it's getting stronger, and I definitely appreciate that. Sometimes we got a couple of hiccups here and there, but it's happening. And listen, I thank Jay Macri for coming on. He did a great job coming on. You know what I mean? Great job coming on. So anyway, I'm about to jump on up out of here. Okay, you know what? I think maybe I'm gonna take this one last person, then I'm out. I'm gonna give him 2 minutes to talk. Give him 2 minutes to talk, and then I rock. Who's on the line? Israel? Hello? I guess they didn't want to get on the line. Well, I guess that's it for the night then. Listen, I am out. Guys that's in the appear in, you can stay in appear in, or you can get back into the appear in, and I'll talk to you a little bit about what went on so you can understand, why I couldn't get you on. I definitely appreciate you guys. I'm about to jump out. You know what I'm saying? And get ready for tomorrow. Got a dentist appointment tomorrow. I'm being in for 3 hours. It's not going to be cool. You know what I mean? But I will see you guys Tuesday night, Knicks Film School. Be ready for it. It's going to be a really good show. I appreciate it. Have a good night, good week. Peace. If you enjoyed this stream, please hit the subscribe button below. Ring the bell. Get a notification anytime that I go live. Big shout out to Jay Macri from the Knicks Wall for coming through tonight. Spending some time with us here on the Nothing But Knicks show. I'm out, y'all. Peace.